What would you take with you if you had to leave your home tonight? Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. Your passport, your phone, maybe a favorite book, maybe a bag. Strange question, right? Until one day, war breaks out and the sky above you changes. Suddenly, everything becomes uncertain. The story that I bring to you today is not a political story. It's a human story about how conflict during a war has an impact on an ordinary mind, living a very simple life, feeding the pets, going for their work, planning their next weekend. The story today is about one such person. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Stuti, that is YOLO, and you're watching
The Stuti Show. Let's say more than they seem.
The story today is about a girl who lived in this small apartment in an old building in a fairly modern city. Her life was not very different than anybody else's. Her morning started with a cup of tea, work calls that stretched throughout the afternoon, and in the evenings she loved to go for these nice long walks in brightly lit streets. At home, there were two small companions who pretty much believed that the entire house was their kingdom. There was a sleepy cat who pretty much had taken over the entire couch. There was a restless dog who believed that every knock on the door was a war cry for him. Life had a comfortable rhythm, predictable, settled, or at least that is what it felt like. One lazy weekend afternoon, she was lying down on her bed, phone in her hand and doom scrolling. Routine noises, memes and photos, friends, chats. But then suddenly, something changed. News alerts, rumors, words like airspace restriction, interception, regional escalation started appearing. At first, it all felt very distant, like most global news. Something somewhere is happening, something that belongs to newsrooms, not in my living room. And then, she told herself the same comfortable sentence that we all use. All this is not going to impact me. And with that thought, she came out of her bed and she made her some tea. The very same evening, all of a sudden, the dog started barking at the window. Now, animals can sense disturbances long before humans can. She was a bit surprised, so she walked out into the terrace. The city looked the same. The towers were glowing, the traffic was running smoothly. But when she looked up, something in the sky had changed. Something that didn't belong there. Something like a fireball. There was also a faint sound. But the sound was not loud enough to start panicking. And then, a thought for the very first time in her life crossed her mind. What would I do if something actually happened? The next morning, the city woke up a bit differently. Now, nothing dramatic. Metro still ran, cafes opened, people went to work. But people started asking questions. Have you heard the news? Airspace has been shut. Flights are getting rerouted. And then, again, for the very first time, she started thinking of things that she had never thought about earlier. Emergency phone numbers, passport locations, water supply, food supply. She went and she opened the drawer of her closet, and then she realized something. She had, for her entire life, prepared for deadlines, prepared for meetings, for presentations. But she had never prepared for uncertainty. And then, that afternoon, she prepared her very first emergency kit. A phone, passports, some cash, a flashlight, a first aid kit. When she was doing all this, it was not difficult or not hard to decide what to pack. The harder part was to decide what not to pack. The suitcase lay open, and then suddenly the entire apartment felt very full. There were books that had been collected over the years. There was a handbag that was bought after months and months of saving. There was a box full of memories, of photos. There were travel souvenirs. Every object carried a story. Every object whispered, "Take me with you." But the suitcase has a limit. When life really wants you to move quickly, that is when you realize how little of what you own you can actually carry. So the books, they were left behind, the handbag stayed. She realized that to actually survive, there is so little that you need. Some documents, food, people, and the animals that you care about. Everything else is attachment. In the next few days, messages started appearing, unexpected ones, from family and friends from far away, just checking in. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Keep us posted. In those uncertain times, these messages felt the warmest. And something else also happened. People who seemed close, they never messaged. They never replied. In these uncertain times, you discover something very important. Not everyone who smiles at you is present. But those who are, they feel like anchors in a storm. Now, a few more days passed of packing, of waiting, of these messages. And in all of this, there was also social media. That strange place where information and anxiety mix together. Because you have to watch it, but at the same time, you also have to stay away from it. Too much of news and your imagination starts spiraling. And too little, you feel blinded. So what do? You keep scrolling and refreshing the page again and again for news. After a few more days passed in that week, she once walked out into the terrace. The city skyline had stayed the same. The towers were still glowing. The traffic was still flowing. Everything seemed normal from a distance. But inside, something had shifted deeply. That understanding that peace is not permanent. Something else was also realized. The car still drove. The shopkeeper still opened his shop. The neighbors still said hello in the elevator. During all this uncertainty, life moved on as normal. A few days passed and the emergency bag was unpacked. The things were returned to their original places in the drawers. Life went back to its routine rhythm. But the mind did not forget that week ever. Now, what is the lesson of this story? The real lesson in moments like this is impermanence. That understanding that nothing, whether it is your life, routine, comfort, city, nothing stays the same. It's not as permanent as we believe. But there is another layer to it. The story is not only about impermanence, it's also about peace. Because in times of conflict, the real weight is often felt by people who have nothing to do with it. And that is the paradox of war. Decisions are made in strategy rooms, but the consequences arrive in the living room. Maybe the lesson here is that peace is not an abstract idea. We do not notice it when it exists, but we understand to value it when we imagine losing it. So if I have to put it simply, peace is that ability to plan your future without any fear. I understand what you are saying. The story today wants us to reflect on impermanence, on peace, And also a question, the same one that we began the video with. What if life asked you to leave tonight? What will you take with you? The things that are expensive, that are impressive, or the things that hold our life together? The people, the memories, and peace. Maybe that's why the simplest wish that an ordinary person can have is also the most powerful one. That tomorrow, the sky above our homes should remain just a sky. So that's the story for today, guys. Let me know in the comments section what is it that you would take along in your emergency bag if you had to leave tonight. Also, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Until the time we meet next again. Bye.